Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have ML Bruin on the line, and he's coming back onto the show for our monthly Onward and Upward series. First off, ML, welcome back, man. It's good to see your face.
Thanks, Adam. Great to be here as usual. A lot of fun.
All right, so we'll get into today's episode in a moment or two. We're going to pick up where we left off on the last story. For those of you that didn't catch it, we went through Mark's first book and also some of the reasons, as he was growing up, what inspired him and how he just always had that author itch. He always wanted to be an author. And we talked a little bit about Noah and the shark last episode of Onward and Upward. But Mark, before we get into the next book and pick up the story where we left off, how you been, man? It's been
Doing
a
good.
solid month since we talked. What's going on in life?
Doing good. Well, right now I'm really busy with the fourth book in the Noah series, the children's books, is currently with the illustrator. So we
Mm.
just started that. I'm done writing. So the illustrations are coming through and
How does that feel? How does that feel? Like that moment in time when you're like, wow, how does that feel?
no, it's pretty exciting, actually, really exciting. And
Mm.
to see it all starting to come together. And because I just write the words, right? Obviously. And once the illustrator does their thing and really brings it to life with the colorful pictures, then you can really get a sense of
Mm.
the story. But it's certainly rewarding because you've written many books.
Hmm.
It
But
takes
no,
some
I've
time to
never,
put
I've
these
never
together.
written, I've never written one with illustrations. So this is
Yeah.
completely new. I'm curious on your end now. So now that you've done a couple of them, how do I ask this question? Do you kind of like visualize some of like how the pictures could look when you're writing, or are you able to, because I can imagine when you did the first one, it's completely blank because the characters don't exist in that sense. The illustrator didn't bring them to life yet, but now you have,
Right.
established characters. So when you're writing, does that affect your writing at all? Or like, are you still blank or how does that feel?
That's a good question. I do actually envision it as I'm writing, and it flows that way. So as I'm
Mm,
writing, I want to make sense that I have a vision, I have a beginning and an end, and how I want the story to go.
mm.
So I do envision that. And in fact, that really comes out because each page, when I'm working with the illustrator, I have in my mind, and I take notes after I write the text of how I want
Oh,
each
wow.
scene to be. And they're really good about making the edits.
Was
And
it
some
was it
page,
like that on the first book? Do you remember? Or was it?
it was, yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
And a couple of pages more so than the others, but
Hmm.
sometimes they would submit the illustration to go with a particular page. And I would say, "No, this is not anything that I envisioned." So
Mm.
depends on the book. But yes,
Yeah.
I do certainly have a vision of how I want it to flow and how I want the people to look and the expressions. And it is really scene by scene. But yes, I do.
Mm.
It's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that.
I feel like this is the closest so there's another series that I do for AFM American Film Market, and then there's another one that I do with Stephen David Brooks. It's called All Things Indian. And that particular
Mm-hmm.
one, I'm interviewing filmmakers and independent film and independent musicians, things like that. So
Right.
to me, your process and what you're describing, the closest thing I can think of is that's almost more like filmmaking, like in your head, because you have the picture of what you want the scene to look like. You're laying out the
Interesting.
dialogue, all of that.
Hmm.
Like, do you see the
Interesting.
similarities there?
I do. I do. You're right. I do. And
Yeah.
before I submit each page I submit a couple at a time, and it takes a while for them. And they come back, and I make multiple edits. But I give them information with the text on each illustration, what I want to
Mm.
see. These
So
are
that'd be
all the
like that's
givens.
like a storyboard in film, like a
Yeah,
storyboard almost.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Good point. Good point. And yeah, I let them have some license because they do a good job with these. They're
of
really
course.
bright and colorful. But there are certain things I want to see, and I let them know right up front.
Mm.
Yeah,
Can you just so
interesting.
that we could take that concept a step further, can you just give an example from a page? It could be, by the way, from another book
Yeah,
or anything else like that, just whatever
yeah.
pops into your head.
Right. So this particular book, I'll talk about the newest book that's coming out
Okay.
since it's
That
fresh
makes
in my
sense because
mind.
I was just going to say it's freshest in your mind. Go ahead.
Very fresh. Yeah. So it's a book that'll be out around the holidays. It's about Christmas. So obviously, certain scenes, I want particular expressions on the parents when they're sitting there with Noah, the main character, obviously. When they're sitting with Noah and something happens, it's not a magical thing, but it's an important a wish he makes. So with the scene, I wanted wanted it to be appear that bright, illustrative, and kind of a golden hue around this wish. He writes down a Christmas
Mm.
wish and what happens. And so I want it to almost look like things are moving. The note is moving, if you will. It'll be more it'll be
Hmm.
more clear when the book comes out. But so things like that, and they have nailed it so far on the first few. I'm really, really excited.
Wow.
So it's going to be an exciting, really interesting book for the kids and families to read, I think. So does
Mm.
that
Did
give
you
you a
happen?
flavor?
Absolutely. Did you happen to? And before I go further in this one, I'm just curious if you saw it, so I won't over explain. If you did, did you happen to see that new movie, Michael?
No.
Oh my gosh,
We
Mark.
want to see that. Is it good?
ML, I highly recommend that. Like
Okay.
it was 6 stars out of 5.
Awesome.
I'll do my plug for my amateur movie rating Instagram account. It's called Adam Rating, where I rate movies because I see
Nice.
that's my hobby. Like I love going to see movies. So I see almost
Uh,
everything that comes out. I don't rate them all, but I see almost everything that comes out. Shout out to Regal in downtown Los Angeles for their unlimited
nice.
pass and their support. So I go to Regal. I live at Regal basically in
Awesome.
downtown Los Angeles. But I'm telling you, ML, the whole he talks about it, and whether this was creative license or if it was actually what happened, I feel like it had to have happened. And there's a lot of buzz around about Michael reading, and I think this is all documented, and there's interviews and things like that out there of like the greatest salesman in the world and things like that. And just in general, Michael's like creative process. And according to the movie and according to like just what you would imagine, like he had this vision in his head of what everything was going to look like and this goal and all these other things going. And it's like, so when you think about like the creative process of being able to
Hmm.
see, and I guess in that particular medium, so if we're, let's just kind of juxtapose these. So in my opinion, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, this part I can speak from my own like experience. I've only written nonfiction and I've
Hmm.
only written, like nonfiction business type books.
Right.
So that being said, that's so my thought of it doesn't really include visuals. I'm not world building in the visual sense. I do have some
Hmm.
things that come in my mind, but it's more like reminiscing and like remembering things versus like building a world of fiction or projecting something I want to see. So for me, it's very retrospective for my style. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but that's been my style. And
Hmm.
then what I'm hearing from your style is you're building a world. It's very similar to how I've heard directors talk about their things. And
Oh,
then
that's
and
interesting.
then for like and Michael, he there's a line in the movie where he says something along the lines of he has he's pulled to do a tour that he doesn't necessarily want to do, but he has another one in his mind. And you hear a lot of musicians, whether it's like in the movie pick like the movie representation of Michael Jackson, or you hear other like musicians, they talk about the visuals all the time, the
Hmm.
visuals, and because they're
Yeah.
planning for. I also went and seen that Billy movie, the Billie Eilish one that James
Hmm.
Cameron went and he directed. I mean, come on, James Cameron directs your,
Yeah.
your conference movie. I'm like your concert movie. Come on, like it was that one was amazing too. But they're
Wow.
all about the visuals and the
Interesting.
experience. So
Interesting.
there's like a
Yeah.
another degree. It's so interesting to
Wow.
me. Hmm.
That's definitely on our list. We talked about it recently. We want to see. And speaking of Michael, that is one artist that I wish I appreciated when he was
Oh,
alive because I did not, to be honest. It wasn't
mm,
part of the genre I followed, but now when you listen, just amazing.
yeah.
And obviously a performer, but I never appreciated him back then. I wish I did. So I am looking forward to seeing it.
I was part of the MTV generation that was brainwashed with him, so
Okay.
you can't help it. Like 'cause when I
Yeah,
watched MTV, I was pretty young when it came out, and if you
right.
watched MTV, it was on, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Yeah. Amazing.
All of his
Amazing.
music, rightfully, but it was on repeat. So that getting back to your book though, and like your
Hmm.
world building, and I'm using that word. I don't know if have you ever considered it that way? Like kind of like
No,
world building and like
no,
even
no.
Like a Harry Potter or
Yeah.
other like
Interesting.
not. I think now I see your wheels turning, or I can hear them turning in there of you thinking
You,
about like
yes, sir,
what
they
would
are.
Noah look like in this particular medium, or what would it look like this, or
Yeah, no, you're right. It's very interesting, very fascinating analogy. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
Hmm.
no, it's great. I think the process of it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's circle back and let's kind of pick up the conversation and back into maybe where we left off on the narrative. I like to, for everybody listening for this particular series, we're catching up. We're bringing you the best of what's happening current too and having a conversation, but we also have a timeline running kind of in the back. And the last part of our timeline and the narrative of just what's going on with your series and your writing, your creative process, we were just beginning on the second book. So how do you want to tee this one up?
I'd like to talk about how I got into it and why I wrote the second book, the guide.
Yeah, let's do it.
We can do that. Okay. The second book I wrote, it's actually a guide. It is a guide. I call it a guide, and it's in the title. It's called A Guide for Navigating Career Success from Day One.
Mm.
And these are things that were when I had people working for me or I mentored people for years, there are certain things, maybe 5 to 10 important things, more than that actually, that I wanted them to learn, not just about our company, but how to kind of get a head start and understand how things work in the workplace. And so you're not surprised. And these are things nobody taught me. Some of them they seem obvious after the fact, but the folks that I worked with really appreciated it. And I took notes. And towards the end of my career, I said, I'm going to publish a little guide. And so that's what I did. And it was very interesting and it was fairly easy to write because these are things that I had written down and practiced over the years. So this one was a fun guide to make.
And so the name of the guide, let's start there.
A Guide for Navigating Career Success from Day One. Kind of a long title.
So how did you release and how did you kind of like get into publishing that part? Like what was your vision for that? So you had this knowledge, and the reason why I asked this, by the way, is because this one is a slight detour from the first book, right? Like very big detour, right? And now you're mentally, and I'm projecting a little bit, but correct me if I'm off. I'm imagining you had a certain level of confidence of, I got, this other book, I did this. You know what? Let me dip my toe into some nonfiction and into maybe some inspiration or leadership or however you'd characterize this particular one or guide, you said, but there's more to it. Like what was in your mind as you kind of start exploring that realm?
Well, first of all, in terms of writing this book, and I may have touched upon this before with you, but there was something always with me that said, I want to help people. I want to help people. And throughout my career, I was always struggling with, am I really helping people? So the modus operandi, if you will, for this book was that I can help people. I can help not just younger folks, but people that get a new job or something like that, change careers. Again, motivational and helping people. So this was a fun one to write. Tidbits, things that are uncomfortable in the workplace. And I want to help people so they're not surprised. The chapter I had the most fun with, and when I say chapter, these are only 2 to 4 pages each chapter. I'm not a big
I love books like that, by the way. In general, I love them. Like, give me the point, move to the next one. A lot of really good marketing books are written that way. Go ahead.
I'm not a big fluff person. I like to get to the point. That's how I read, and I'm attracted to those type of books. So I wanted a guide that people could refer to. And one of the sections, and it's least one of the sections, talks about how to work with difficult people. Because what I saw, the younger folks that were just the newer folks out of college, we hired a lot of those folks. They struggled with communicating and how to deal with difficult people. And
would this be millennials back then?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that would be that'd be millennials back then just to kind of timestamp that a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was going to say,
I think they said, I got to do one quick thing there. I want you to continue, but I think back then the secret sauce to managing millennials was get them a ping pong table, put a ping pong table in and make it fun. Like, because I remember, because that's my generation of going through the workplace, and like you just see ping pong tables spring everywhere. Because maybe Google did it or somebody else did it, and then all of a sudden it was like, let's make the office more bright and have ping pong tables, and that's going to solve everything.
That's what we did outside our fitness room, running ping pong tables. Funny you say. Honestly, yes.
That was I don't know if there was ever a book, because I was young in my career, if there was a book or what, but like there was a lot of ping pong tables sold.
Oh, that's funny.
That's how you manage them.
Yeah, we did it. That's right. We did it. Yeah.
Can't make that up.
No, you can't. So how to work with difficult people. I just have stories, and I used to tell people real life tidbits, because there was a couple of, they were downright ornery engineers, but they were really crucial to not only our site, but the corporate, because they were well respected and they had a lot of tribal knowledge and very bright. But people struggled. So what they would do is you can't ignore people when you need to work with them. So, and I was struggling myself for some time, and I mean, not just difficult, but as I said, a hoarder of information
Mm-hmm.
and did not want to reach out and help younger folks. And that really bothered me.
Mm.
So anyway, one day I heard him talking about his favorite NHL hockey team. And I'm a huge sports fan and I love
Mm-hmm.
our local professional team. So I said, well, there's my opening. So each day before our big meeting, daily meeting, technology meeting, I would go over to him and we'd talk about the prior night's game. And even though he didn't
Mm.
like my team, that opened it up. And that went from being a miserable relationship for probably the next 5 years until I left. So this was later in my career.
Mm.
And he was actually the guy when we traveled internationally for these technology transfers. He was the guy. He and I would hang out. So it was kind of funny. It came full circle. So I try to teach the young people, find these people aren't going away. They're everywhere in workplace.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have people that are difficult to work with. You can't run away. You can't hide. You can't ignore them. You need these people. So if at all possible, find some common ground. And I did. And it turned into a great working relationship.
Mm.
So little things like that, Adam, I put in my book. So real life things, not just preaching, but it's here's
Yeah.
how I did it. Here are the things that worked for me, the things that I saw work. So
If you can recall, I know it's a bit ago, but what were some of the responses you received when you brought out that first book?
yeah, the Guide for Navigating Career
Mm-hmm.
Success.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, the first
Yeah,
nonfiction book. Yes, go ahead.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was really positive, and folks like how helpful it is. And they seem to like. I didn't know if people wanted a 300-page textbook or this guide that you can refer to easily. And I have a table of contents in there. They liked that format, so I was happy with that. You know, that how I wrote it was how they wanted to read it or to have a book like this as a guide and not just a long textbook with a bunch of preaching and no real life examples. I try to put real life examples because it's easier to relate.
Mm.
So
How
very
did you market
positive.
it back then? How did you market it? I'm curious about how sophisticated you are, what kind of things
Yeah.
you did to
I,
market
I
back then.
I
Hmm.
wasn't really back then.
Yeah. What year was
I'm
this again?
starting to do
Roughly,
that
roughly.
more.
Let me
This was
timestamp
only
that a bit.
published in 24, I think. I sat on it
Yeah.
for a while,
Yeah.
and like I do, and I had what's the phrase when the writer questions himself or herself?
Imposter syndrome.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Come on.
Imposter syndrome,
Ah, yes,
because
it's
I
very
had
close
that
to
before.
IBS. You just got to get it out. No, I'm just playing. I don't know
That's
where that
right.
came from. I'm sorry, ML.
That's
Go
all
ahead.
right. Very good. We're having fun here. That's good. That's important. Yeah, I forgot. I lost my train of thought here. But it was limited. It was very limited marketing. But right now, I have this book out to some schools and universities
Hmm.
evaluating for their curriculum. So
Mm-mm.
that's pretty exciting. I'm proud of this. This one actually. This took some
Take
time, and I'm proud of how it came out actually.
take us through some more of like the meat of it, like how it's
Yeah.
constructed. What I you already
Okay.
mentioned one bit of
hmm
it, which is the chapters are short, so quick to digest. Like go a little bit further.
Okay. Yeah. Short chapters, and so it's not really doesn't have to be chronological, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just important things that I think that would help folks to become comfortable and successful. And in fact, at the end, I have a little appendix at the end, so it flows that way, short chapters and there's no real fluff in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, I have an appendix. I actually put some other things in here, like if you're in certain careers, here's a couple pages on basic statistics. You should really know these things about basic statistics, whether or not you're in engineering or something. And I have appendices I talk about problem solving and
Mm-hmm.
how to improve. And there are many formal ways to think systematically and organized, but I harp on that a lot, is that no matter what your job is, you can always use some form of being organized and systematic and reacting to information and data and not emotion. So that's
Mm.
really important, especially it was in my career. And so other chat things involve talking about never stop learning, always challenge yourself, never stop learning,
Mm.
expand your horizons because you never know where that'll take you someday.
Mm-hmm.
Try to be more well-rounded. I like to talk to people not just about work, but always, and I've talked to my kids about this many times. They're probably tired of hearing it, but always, always being a positive force in the world and the workplace. My saying in the
Mm.
workplace was always be someone that people want to work with, or in life,
Mm-hmm.
always be someone that people want to be around. They trust you, they're comfortable with you. And you know that you're out in the business world. It's so
Mm-hmm.
much easier to walk with people and to be around people that are positive and trustworthy, and also you can have a good time no matter what your job is.
Mm,
We enjoyed ourselves and talked. When it was work, it was work. But never stop learning, be a positive force, be the person others want to work with. We talk a lot about, or I mention learning. It's okay to make mistakes. You will make
hmm
mistakes, but just document, remember, and learn from it so you don't repeat the same mistakes. That's very powerful. And a lot of people have too much pride. If they make a mistake,
hmm
don't admit it. It's hard to be humble, hard to move on. But if you learn from it, that's everybody fails. Everybody fails. So
hmm
the key is learning and moving ahead, staying positive. Onward and upward, Adam.
Yeah. How does like you releasing this kind of coincide and or enforce like your overall mission of like wanting to help people? Like what was your thought process behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'd struggled. I want to do something in my life to help
hmm
people.
hmm
So I had a long career I was very happy with, and I thought this was one way I could give back a little. And again, with real life tips and examples,
hmm
because I lived it for many years, and these things that can still, they'll still help you in life. Like I said, being a positive force, being honest, having ethics,
hmm
obviously in the business world, things like
hmm
that. So yeah, it is all part of my mission of giving back, staying positive, helping people, and moving forward, even when things are difficult. And we talk about it in the book a little bit. Things are
mm
hard at work, moving forward, doing your job, not getting caught up in office politics and
mm
present issues, and doing a job and being a solid employee, low maintenance employee, being
hmm
a positive, low maintenance employee. I think that's very important.
Now
So
you
hopefully that all comes through in this book. Sorry.
no, now you, I mean, this, and we've talked about some previous episodes, but for maybe those that are just starting, you've talked about, Lyme disease and how it's affected your life and some of the other things. Like, is that kind of mixed into this and you wanting to do something with your time and with your life?
Absolutely. And the Noah series, I put positive messages in there, but absolutely, Adam, I'm compiling my journey with and through Lyme disease. And my ultimate goal with that is one day publish a guide to help people. I have a lot of learnings
Mm,
still challenged with this. So one day that book will come. So absolutely. And that's a great way to put it. Thank you. It all ties in to my mission in life now, actually.
it's great.
Yeah.
Mark,
Thanks.
we got a lot more work to do, and I'm excited to get further into your catalog, into your books, and into your mission and what you're doing. It's been a lot of fun today. I
Yeah,
wanna
it
leave
has.
off with you letting all of our listeners know where they can pick up books, how they can follow you, all that good stuff, all the things.
Okay. You can follow me at mlbruin.com, my website, Instagram, mlbruin, and Facebook is mlbruin-author. And you can find my books everywhere from online, the big houses to the Barnes and Nobles and the Books a Millions and indie bookshops. The indie bookshops have been really good in
Mm.
opening and wanting to house my books. So wherever you go, you should find my books or ask for it. So
Amazing.
thanks
And for
for
everybody
asking.
listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can pick up a copy of ML's books and support. And then for those of you, if this is your first time tuning in, don't forget, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me right. Each and every day, we bring you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So we don't want you to miss a thing. Hit that subscribe or follow button. And ML, man, I'm looking forward to the next episode that we do of Onward and Upward.
Can't wait, Adam. Thank you.